Hello, Josh.
Hello, Graham.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, so you're getting along. I've been a bit slow at times, but you seem to be making steady progress.
Yeah, no pressure, no rush. I've just been enjoying the cruise. I think I might have touched the tiller for all of 10 minutes in this passage.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What sort of weather have you been getting, and what sort of sail combinations have you been using?
I've just been main and jib. I've had like pretty much perfect wind and perfect spell for the entire trip. It's been 2 weeks of sunny skies and 15 knots of breeze right on the quarter, and winds following. So yeah, it's been a lovely. Everybody else had squalls and thunderstorms, and they had. Yesterday was the worst. I got the calms for about 12 hours. So I wasn't able to, there was a little bit of breeze coming out of the west, so I couldn't go west at all. All I could do was sail due north or due south, so I kind of just sailed back and forth right next to the line on the chart plotter there, and just to kind of keep everything nice and straight. But for the most part, it's been absolutely perfect. Perfectly clear nights, no squalls to worry about. I mean, I say that now, and of course I'll probably have some tonight, but, just, endless stars, and the moon just started getting full, so it's been bright, and it's been lovely. It's been really nice. I haven't had to do much of anything, really. Yeah, so just main and jib. I did put the spinnaker up for a little while on one day when it was light wind, but it was like such light wind that it couldn't even fill it, so that was for a couple hours, and then I took it back down. So, yeah, I've been doing 110, 115 miles a day, I think. I've averaged, it's 1,450 miles total, and I should hopefully be there within a day or two, so that's about 14 days. That's a little over 100 miles. I'm happy with that, just for not having to do anything.
Yeah, and a light weather passage as well, so that's very effective. Of course, little boats are good in light winds as long as you don't have a sloppy sea to knock you back.
Yeah, exactly. No, the sea is. There's been a couple days when there was a big swell, but out of 2 weeks, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 3 days for the most part. The worst I encountered was coming right out of Tahiti. Yeah, I left Tahiti. It was on sea. It was like, well, maybe not that much, but 20, maybe gusting 25. And as I was rounding Moorea there, around the north side of Moorea, that was at night, and it was a full-on squall for 4 or 5 hours. It was raining pretty hard and blowing right up the chuff. So running before it, and it was a pretty big swell. But the little boat took it great. I would come out and I would have to jibe the boat because it didn't necessarily want to go perfectly straight, and I was kind of trying to obviously avoid the island. So I would just come out and jibe over to one side and go that way for a little while, and then an hour later jibe it back over to the other side. But I handled it perfectly. That was about the worst I got.
Yeah, so you would have been getting plenty of sleep and cooking up some great meals, etc.
Yeah, exactly. I've just been relaxing, watching movies. I had a couple that I downloaded on the iPhone, and I've been making. I had some fish tacos, and I did salmon chow mein one night, and obviously lots of spaghetti because that's my favorite. Just soaking it up. I've been mostly, I'll stay inside during the day because it's so hot and sunny, and then I'll come out and hang out at night and watch the stars and stuff. So it's been lovely.
You've been doing a bit of ukulele playing?
I'm sorry?
Have you played your ukulele in this passage?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, obviously that. Like I said, I only know like 5 songs, so I'm kind of like tired of those 5 songs. In PG, I gotta see if I can't find like a songbook or something so I can learn some new songs. I've got those 5 mastered though.
Yeah, I could maybe find you one here somewhere. But
yeah, perhaps. But yeah, that's so I've been enjoying the ride really.
Yeah, good. And the boat's not giving you any trouble?
No, everything's great. Today, I don't think my batteries got full today just because it was overcast all day. So today will be the first day that I didn't get a full charge. But otherwise, I've been getting a full charge on the batteries every day. And I was having some trouble with my chart plotter, like the GPS kept losing signal. Like, I don't know if there's just not as many, like, Garmin network satellites in this area, but I have there's two ways that it can get the GPS. I have a GPS antenna on the roof, which is, like, the more accurate, but it also has the chart plotter has an onboard GPS antenna, so it was just the rooftop one that was losing the signal, and then I would just switch over to the chart plotter, and then I would switch back an hour later, and everything was fine. That was just fun. Other than that, everything's been absolutely great. The little wind vane has been steering like a champion. Pretty much dead on course. I've kind of gotten the hang of fine-tuning it, at least, with the main and the jib. And so, yeah, I haven't had to do much. Just come out and make an adjustment every hour or two whenever the wind kind of backs or veers one way or the other, subtle changes and that sort of thing.
So you're carrying... You've been carrying the full main and the jib?
Yeah, full main and the jib, and it depends, I'd say probably 1/3 full and full jib, and then 1/3, reef down and the reef down jib. There was a couple days when it was pretty breezy, so I was able to maintain my speed with 2 reefs in, and just as needed. So right now I got 1 reef in because I was rounding up a little bit. It wasn't uncomfortable, or it wasn't heeling over excessively or anything, but it just didn't want to hold the course. It just kept trying to round up, so I just did a reef just so we could keep going nice and straight. But, yeah, and so I would, because the wind was pretty much, it was kind of right on the quarter, or sometimes, downwind, so I would, if the boat wanted to go, more downwind, I would pull it out, and if the boat wanted to go kind of more of a beam reach, I would just put tack the jib over onto the other side.
I'm interested to know when you tuck a reef in like that, when it starts to round up, does the boat slow down at all, or do you think that maybe it helps to balance it out and keeps your speed up?
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what I watch for, like if it's rounding up and I feel like maybe I should put in a reef, and I go ahead and do it, and I lose like 3/4 of a knot or something, then I'll shake it back out. But for the most part, I kind of have the rhythm of it. I have the feel of when it wants a reef, and it won't slow it down any. It's kind of like it's at the point where it doesn't want to take any more, and so by flattening the boat out and by staying more on course, better VMG, I actually end up getting a little quicker. So yeah, I've kind of got the hang of that. So yeah, no, to answer your question, typically no. I'll put the reef in at the moment when it wants it, and it doesn't really slow down. I had the full main up, like I said, and I was doing 5.5, and I was, dropping down into, 4, low 4s, 4.3 or something like that. And so I put the reef in, and now I'm doing 4.8, between 4.5 and 5. So yeah, right on the money.
Yeah, I guess, there's only way you could go faster would be to hand steer, and it's not much point unless you want to try and start pushing really, really hard. But you seem to be in the groove there.
Yeah, exactly. And then I did the math, I thought, if I put up the spinnaker and if I hand steer and if I push myself, I'm obviously not going to catch anybody, and I might have arrived like 1 day sooner, in 14 days, if I could do, 120 miles a day instead of 110, or 125 or 130 even miles a day instead of 110. That puts me like maybe 180 to 200 miles ahead, and I wasn't racing any weather. I was watching the forecast closely. I might have been able to avoid being in the column yesterday for a few hours if I had been a few more, 100 miles or so ahead, but at the same time, I'm kind of still trying to just preserve the rig and preserve the spinnakers, use the white sails as much as I can because they're just more durable, and kind of just taking gauge.
Yeah, there's been some discussion recently, not just in the fleet, but in the cruising community generally, about the psychological impact of having Starlink on board. Obviously some positive aspects to it for weather and connection to friends, and depends on your personality and what you want to do, but other people have been saying that maybe it takes something away as well, because you lose that connectedness with the universe or with the ocean. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that, because I was thinking about that too, as a matter of fact. Like, just and kind of everything that I've done, like, as far as this adventure goes and in the mountains and stuff, I always had such a limited budget that I never was able to have, like, the cutting edge technology. I always kind of had to adopt the mindset of, like, what worked for people in the past can still work for me today, and just kind of live without. And I do feel like that gives you more of a connection to your environment, and I think that it kind of forces you kind of to be more present, But at the same time, in this world, I almost lament not having it, because I can't make all the updates and posts that people want to see. All my followers want to see how I'm doing, and everybody, Shannon, my sister, she always tells me about, so-and-so posted an update about this, and so-and-so posted an update about that, and, I kind of feel like, in order to do this successfully, you have to stay connected to your community, to your followers, and I feel like they don't get as much, bang for their buck from me, because I don't post as much content. So it's kind of a two-edged sword. I kind of feel both things. I prefer not having it. I mean, the Iridium Go, I'm able to text, Kathy, my team manager, my partner, every day, and my dad, and Shannon, my sister, and I'm able to stay in touch. I text with Jasmine and Adam and Dan, and we've got our WhatsApp group for the fleet. I can keep up on all of that. So as I'm, checking Facebook or scrolling on Instagram, doesn't really bother me any. I don't feel any less connected. I'm still able to communicate just fine. So yeah, I kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah, and of course it uses up a lot of power as well if you start using it a fair bit, although Erton seems to have found a pretty good way of managing his power. He uses his Starlink quite a lot, and yet he doesn't ever have any troubles with electricity. But he doesn't switch anything on except for the Starlink. He has all of his electronics switched off most of the time, and he alternates between sailing like Mortesia and sailing like a 21st century sailor. When he switches a Starlink off, he's just there. He just sails on a compass course and does dead reckoning.
Yeah, that's funny. I thought about that too. I was like, well, if I had the Starlink, I would be worried about power consumption, and the way I run the boat now, I don't have to worry about anything. I run the chart plotter all the time. I run the AIS all the time. I charge my phone. I charge my Bluetooth speaker. I charge whatever it wants to charge to the Iridium thing. I never have any concern for power consumption. I'm able to be pretty relaxed about it. But yeah, I think about that too. Like, there's that aspect of it.
And it's quite expensive as an ocean. If you got the Starlink for ocean, I've forgotten what they call it now, but that particular program is not cheap.
Right, and then I would, because I considered getting it in Panama like everybody else did, but I was like, well, I could afford it if I canceled the Iridium, but the Iridium is pretty, rock solid. Like, that thing, it just works. And so I would be hesitant to, abandon something that I know works for something that, I guess the Starlink works too, but the Iridium's got its own battery, so, and as long as you don't hammer on it, it lasts pretty well. So it's kind of like, I had struggled with give up what I know. Because I wouldn't be able to have maintained both. I would have had to cancel one to get the other. And I know what I have works. So it was kind of, I was reluctant in that regard as well.
Yeah.
And Kathy, she didn't want me to get...
Sorry?
Kathy didn't want me to get the Starlink because she's, in protest of Elon Musk and how he's trying to take over our country and all that. So she was like, don't give him your money.
Yeah, well, that's very much a personal choice, isn't it? And you have to decide what to do, and I do understand her position.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't have Starlink either. It would be convenient for me because on this coast there's quite significant patches of the coast that have poor internet connection. So for the duration of this race, I'm limited as to where I'm going to take the boat. But there's a number of reasons why I haven't got Starlink and won't get it. It's mostly financial. But I'm glad that I don't have to make the moral choice either. It's and the other thing is, I do like being off grid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I grew up in that era like you did with the mountains and things. I grew up sailing with nothing. I didn't even had no two-way radio of any description. I had a little tiny little transistor radio with dry cell batteries in it, and at 3 o'clock in the morning I could get WWV time signals to check the rate of my watch for my sextant navigation, but there was absolutely no way of communicating with the outside world. And I once got stuck, got becalmed for 15 days just up near the Solomon Islands, and by the time I came ashore, all my friends were going nuts. My family never knew where I was, so it didn't really matter, but my friends were going nuts because they thought I'd disappeared somewhere. But I told them we were going to make a search for you, and I got quite cross. I said, where would you start, for one thing? And the other thing is, I wouldn't want you to come searching for me and never do that again. So I hope, it's a different philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's kind of sad the way that it's going now, where basically you have to do it for social media. You have to, people expect that, to where the social media is what drives the, I don't want to say the sport, but kind of the cutting edge of sailing and cutting edge of a lot of sports, is driven by social media content, where people only do it for the gram. They only do it so that they can post about it. They don't do it just for the simple reward of having done it.
Yeah, there's definitely been a bit of a change in the culture. Also, when people got into port and wrote stories in yachting magazines and wrote their books like Mutesa, etc., there was a lot of interest in them. But now that interest has been diluted or diffused by the extensive coverage on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to tell yourself, it's like anybody that wants to, is like, as far as like partner sponsors and like that, like they're basically looking at your social media following and your content creation. That's like, they don't care about like your actual achievement. They just care about what...
when it comes to something like the Mini Globe Race, unfortunately, that's very much a part of the game, is to produce that content. So it's just a question of finding a balance. I think if you're taking videos at sea and then you give them to Don McIntyre afterwards, so that there is that record that can go into the film and little posts can be put up when you're in port, that's a reasonable balance, I think. I think that does bring it back to having an acceptable level of communication, but it certainly is all about communication now.
Yep, absolutely.
So how are you going with your videos? Do you make some?
I haven't taken as much, just because I haven't done anything interesting. Like, all I would have is video of me laying in bed.
You'll have to be more inventive.
I'd have to put on a shirt, because I don't wear clothes anymore, so it's like... I haven't had as much. I've tried to make more like quality content, just filming beautiful sunsets and kind of the boat kind of steering itself in varying conditions and that sort of thing. Just trying to make, because honestly, it's like I would have 100 videos that are exactly the same. And I like to shoot the videos. I like to capture the different angles and stuff. So I've been kind of exploring more with going up on the bow with the camera and shooting backwards and kind of standing up on the boom and trying to get a little bit better angle and just trying to make it a little more unique rather than just a video of me sitting in the cockpit or talking about.
Do you have mounts for the camera so that you can mount it in certain places and show you reefing the mainsail and show you poling out the tube and stuff? Because those are the sorts of action shots that seem to attract interest, I think.
Yeah, I got the clamp for the GoPro, so I can clamp it on all over the place. I got 2 different cameras, so I can shoot multiple angles, and I got the wind muff and everything, so I can talk outside and capture without too much wind noise. So yeah, I mean, that's not all I can do.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all good. So you've got 3 days to go. I guess you'll be looking forward to getting in.
Yeah. Well, right now, chart plotter says 194 miles to the channel. I'm going to Vavau.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you where you were going. Yeah.
It just seems like it's easier to get into. I was kind of worried about getting into Pangai. I don't know. Without a proper engine, there's a lot of stuff that you can hit. There's a lot of stuff to hit in there. But Vavau is pretty straightforward. You just go over the top of the island and you just hook around and you go up the channel, and it's a lot. It reminds me a lot of home negotiating like this in one island. So
everyone who's been to Vavau has been having a whale of a time. In fact, they've been so enjoying themselves so much that I had difficulty getting any of them to call me today.
Oh, jeez. Well, you can always rely on me. I can try to call every time.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Jasmine called, but we spoke for a few minutes, but she was on, I think it was her boat, or one of the boats she was on with all the other guys, and they were going off to a beach to do something, and she was the only one of them that called. The others all too busy having a good time. And Renault called about 3 hours after he left Pangai, and Dan Turner called, and we had a very brief conversation because he was busy and he was about to clear customs and get ready to leave tomorrow. But all the others were out partying and having a great time around the island.
Yeah, that's the one thing that stinks about being so far behind is I miss out on the group. I mean, that's why a big part of why I did this event was the camaraderie. So to see everybody having a good time, I'm glad they're having a good time. But you're gonna get a little FOMO. You feel like you're missing out a little bit. But at the same time,
hopefully, when you leave Fiji, you'll be restarting the clock, and you'll all leave together, and hopefully you'll start arriving in ports with the others.
I mean, Tahiti, we were all together for I got to see pretty much everybody. So I was happy with that.
Oh, good.
The chart plotter's about 94 miles to the channel, so I'm thinking 40 hours or something like that.
Yeah, well, some of them will still be there. Jasmine will still be there, and a few of the others will be there for another couple of days or so. So you'll have a bit of a party.
Yeah, and the chart. Another reason I wanted to go to Vavau is my chart plotter has. You can select certain things like Neiafu Harbor, for example. It has reviews that other cruising skippers have left for things that they've found, and one of them says that it's his absolute favorite place in the whole South Pacific, and a couple other ones say that it's absolutely not to be missed. So I was looking forward to it. There's a couple of small islands that are anchorages that are really nearby, just like, less than 3 miles or within 5 miles of the harbor, where they say it's like, you got the whole island to yourself, and it's white sand beaches and beautiful blue water and coral and everything that you want. So.
Yeah, when you go, just outside the Sound or the Channel, Don McAdie's been calling it a fjord, but it's probably not quite a fjord, but it's like a fjord. It's narrow channel, steep hills on both sides. As you say, it's a bit like the Pacific Northwest. But as you get out of that to the south, there's a whole little scattering of islands there. I did hear the other day, I think it was Don once again, who mentioned that most of those villages now charge you a small fee to anchor off their islands, because they're using that money for conservation.
That's what and if you some of those anchorages on the chart plot of the reviewer said that a local came and got like $10 Tongan or something like that from every boat that was anchored there for the day or something like that. So it's not outrageous.
But they're using it they're not using it to party with. They're using it to regenerate the coral and the land and stuff. So it's an environmental levy basically.
I support it. I completely.
And the Tongans are brilliant people, very friendly, love to eat. Yeah, it's a good place to have a feast and a party. So I'm sure you'll have a great time there.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it. And when I was younger and I was fishing for tuna off the coast of Hawaii, I worked with some Tongans, and I always wanted to go there because they were, like you said, just great people.
Yeah, I've never been to Tonga, but like you, I've got a number of Tongan friends, and they've always had a great time whenever I catch up with them. Anyway, I should let you go and get back to lazing around in your bunk. I won't pretend that you're going to be out there trimming the sails. But
I was like, oh man, I haven't been outside all day. I had a reason to come out here and sit outside so the phone could get a signal.
Yeah, that's good. There was a little bit of wind there before, but it's died off now because there's no wind interference at the moment.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, 13 to 15 knots or something like that. It's blowing all right.
Oh. Well, what's the sea state like?
It's probably, I'd say moderate, it's like, maybe like a 1 meter swell. The waves are pretty small.
Okay.
Both barely, like, going down.
Yeah, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, meter and a half, right on the quarter. There's no big, like, it's all just wind waves. There's no big, ocean swell. So, it's all just kind of we're just going along together.
And it's
all fair winds.
No rain?
I'm sorry?
You haven't had any rain?
Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, yeah. Have you had any rain?
Barely. There was one night. So the first night, even Pape just said that was pretty rough. It rained pretty hard. And there was, I want to say, one day where I had a squall. And then last night it rained a little bit. But that was it. No, hardly any.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a delightful passage, and hopefully the leg on to Fiji will treat you kindly as well. Because as you would have known, the potential for heavy weather between Tahiti and Tonga is quite high, and nobody's had a gale. There's been a few squalls, and there's been a few bouncy waves and things, but it's been fairly moderate compared to what it can do.
I know. I was actually really, I don't want to say worried about this passage, but I was definitely, not concerned, but it was heads up, before I left. I was studying the forecast pretty closely and kind of paying attention to what other people were encountering, and I was fully expecting to get, a handful or to get the full experience, but honestly, it's been magic. I hate to say anything. I don't want to curse myself right at the end here, but I was like, I won't tell anybody how great of a time I had, because they all got their butt kicked. Poor Gary's just drifting around in circles out there, like the doldrums part 2, so I feel really bad.
Yeah.
I had been chatting with him. He's been having a hard go of it.
Yeah.
So.
And of course he's under a lot of pressure to try and get to Fiji in time because he's already got a flight booked.
Yeah, he wants to meet his wife. She arrives on the 27th, but I mean, I think he's still got time.
Yeah, he was planning to go back to Sydney. I don't know if he's changed his mind now, but he was going to go back to Sydney briefly, to do a few things and then come back around the 19th of July. Not sure whether that's still on schedule. Last time I spoke to him, he said he'd booked a flight to Sydney, but I think he could have cancelled that.
Yeah. That was what he said too. That was his primary motivation for skipping Tonga, was to make his flight home, because he said he needed a medical procedure or something on his eyes. I'm not really sure. I won't speak to that, but I know that he was worried about making it in time. But he's got 20 days still or something like that. So I think he'll be all right. Yeah,
good. Well, we wish him all the best, and I wish you all the best as well. And great talking to you as usual. And I'll be flying into Vuda Point on the 19th of July, so I'll see you then.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, we won't talk, I guess is that 2 weeks? That's less than 2 weeks, right? That's 10 days.
The 19th of July. I'm going on the 19th of July, so that's next month. So in 2 weeks' time, you might still be at sea. You might have arrived in Tonga and spent your 8 days there, and you'd probably be halfway to Fiji or something. So we'll speak next time as you're approaching Fiji with a bit of luck.
All right, that sounds pretty good, Graham.
Yeah.
Pleasure as always, and take care.
Thank you very much for the call. Bye.
Okay, goodbye.